Good afternoon, South Effingham Mustangs. Happy spring break. I hope you're enjoying it and you see what I'm doing on spring break. I'm back at work today, compiling some information that I need to get out to you, finishing evaluations. So Thursday we're supposed to have a faculty meeting, so here's all the information that I would have shared with you in the faculty meeting. So I hope you'll find some time to watch this video. First thing I want to talk about are summative evaluations. We're at the very end of the road when it comes to TEKS, and all of us are finishing up our summative evaluations and our conferences. I've met with all of my people except for one. I have one more that I have to meet with. This week, this coming week, I'm going to actually meet with Miss Deans. I'm going to take over her summative conferences so that she can focus on milestones. So if your evaluator is Miss Dean, I'm going to do your summative conferences with you. She's going to do your evaluations, but I'll do the conferences with you. And then Miss Brown will hold her own conferences, and I suspect that she'll be scheduling those for this week as well. Please make sure that you're on time and you come to those conferences so that we can get those checked off and finished, and we can finish up your evaluations for the year. All of our summative evaluations and conferences are due on April 15th. So we have to sign off by then. Once we put in the conferences and say that we've met with you and we put in the comments, make sure that you go on to the TEKS platform and sign off. That's really important for us to get that done by the 15th as well. As you know, if you haven't heard, the milestones are coming up, and Ms. Dean's really engulfed in that at this point, and so are a lot of you when it comes to reviewing and studying. We're going to do what we can to protect your time this week so that you can review with your students. Make sure that you cover all the content in your classrooms. Ms. Dean's going to check that Wednesday afternoon. I have gotten from the Statesboro Herald, thanks to them for donating enrolls to us. And so I have those, and I've gotten those with a little bit of help. I'll add the video so you can see. And I've put those in the faculty workroom for you to use. Please avoid using the bulletin board paper and use the enrolls instead, because it is free. Make sure that after you've covered your walls that you return the enrolls so other people can use it as well. Be sure to remember that we're not going to give homework or tests the week of milestones or while we're giving milestones testing, so that the students can focus on the testing, and you can too. Remember, I also said that you can wear jeans during those testing days for those 5 testing days, and make sure you're also wearing comfortable shoes that don't make a lot of noise, preferably sneakers. Monitor and be diligent. That's what the milestones are all going to be about. So just make sure you're monitoring at all times and very diligent and following all the rules that Ms. Dean has shared with you. The other thing that's going to be very important is being present and encouraging your students to be present. If we can all be here and check that off the list, we'll be done with milestones testing. I wanted to give a shout out to the 6th graders. Before we left on break, the 6th graders had their Easter egg hunt where they had milestones questions in the eggs. I really thought it was a great idea, and I appreciate Miss Bonaroto for heading that up and organizing that for all of 6th grade. I think they had a really great day. The other thing I want to give a shout out to, and I did say something about it on the loudspeaker, but there was in the Vox Populi, in the Effingham Now, in the Savannah Morning News, there on this is Sunday, March 20th, there was a person who called in and said, I was in Savannah a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to say something positive for a change. I ran into a group of field trip kids from South Effingham Middle School, and I just wanted to say that they were the most well-behaved and well-mannered group of teenagers that I have seen in a long time. Keep up the good work, kids. You are doing great. And I do know that those must have been our Ebenezer Alive students, so thank you to the students. Thank you to you, the teachers. We really do have a great group of teachers, staff, and students, and I am thrilled that someone was kind enough to point that out. Other things, I'm going to attach 2 videos. The first one is Coach Barnes. I'm using him as an exemplar for using his app to allow for differentiation in his classroom. So watch what Coach Barnes does with his differentiation right at the beginning of the classes with his app, and he can, I'm sure he'd love to share with you how he uses that app and how he got that.
Put the 4 in the air. You need a QR code. Put your hand up. Let me come to you. Those of you with my device, go ahead, go to the Flying Aces app. you're going to click on assignments in the top left, then go to Unit 6. We are in Unit 6. And do the warm-up. Grab the purple. Grab the purple. Go ahead and complete the warm-up. Guys, you missed one or less. One or less. Look up, look up. Y'all see the worksheet up here? That's the next assignment. I'm going to put your results on the board. Y'all go ahead and get started on the warm-up. If you need a device, put up a 4. If you're having trouble, put your hand up. Unit 6. We are in Unit 6, and you'll see the date next to the assignment. Today is the 2nd, 3/2. If you have a question, feel free to ask. This question is dealing with coordinate planes. You're going to have to plot a point. You got to be able to say what quadrant it's going to be in, or if it's even in a quadrant. Great job, number 16, number 8, 11. Once you have finished, you're not putting up your technology, we're still going to use it today. Grab a sheet, read the first sentence, and go from there. Today, we're moving on into a new unit. We're getting into our statistics. You know it's not the origin, so it has to be one of those other two. Think about it. Think about it. It has to be lying on this. Mr. Nick, do you need a QR code? Right on top of my cabinet. Hey, look. See that? What's up? Guys, on this form, you can also go to the notes if you need to. The notes are in your Google Drive. They're there. There's a link. If you click it, it will go straight to those notes, and you can review where the coordinates are. See it? Guys, you had your own device. You finished with the warm-up. I will take it from you. The QR code is what I'm talking about. Did you take the survey? Do number 1 first. After you've finished, you missed 1 or less. The next thing you have to do is go grab the sheet off the middle of the table. Read the first sentence. You're going to get another QR code. I need you to take a survey. After you've taken that survey, then we can start talking about statistical questions. Do the survey first. Now, if you have my tablet, the survey is going to be right underneath the warm-up. So you don't need to scan the QR code. You just need to go right underneath the warm-up. It still has the same date, 3/2. Guys, what I've noticed, everyone up here who has submitted and needed help, I've come talk to you. Okay? I feel like, for the most part, we're going to have a good understanding of the coordinate plane. We know that quadrant 1 is in the top, which direction?
Right.
Right. Where's quadrant 2? Top left. That means 3 has to be bottom left, and 4 has to be. And on the assignment, I use Roman numerals. What does 4 look like? IV. Anytime you have a smaller number in front of a bigger number, 1 in front of 5, means subtraction. All right? Guys, we're about to move on to our lesson for the day. So if you have not gotten one of these sheets, put your hand up and let me come to you.
Thank you, Coach Barnes. I hope that you all can take something away from that. And like I said, I'm sure Coach Barnes would love to help you set something up like that if you wanted to in your classroom. The next video is Mr. Beam, and he's using Plickers. And I did go online, and Plickers, if you want more information about them, it's at https:// Plickers, Plickers.com. So watch how he uses that. Great use of quick assessments, feedback, and allows for differentiation when he sees that the students didn't get the questions right.
All right. So the first question: lichens benefit from living on a tree, but the tree is not harmed. This is an example of what is it? A, mutualism, B, commensalism, or C, parasitism. I already got yours, Mike. Waving around like what? It's a totally new projector. Right. So Danny's not here. Gabby's not here. Zach, didn't get you. And Gracie, I didn't get you. All right. So 95% got it correct. So the correct answer is commensalism. All right. All right, let's take a look at another example. All right, the next question. An Egyptian plover eats the leeches out of a crocodile's mouth. What type of symbiosis is this? All right. Is it A, competition, B, commensalism, C, mutualism, or D, parasitism? We're going to take a classroom breath as soon as we get done with this. Okay? Hold it straight. Those hold it straight. There you go. Alright, so again, 95%. So this is mutualism, alright? Most of you got it right. So mutualism, both species here benefit. So the Egyptian plover gets to eat, it gets to eat the leeches, even though that doesn't sound very delicious. Alright, and the crocodile gets the leeches taken out of its mouth. Alright, so that's a parasite, it gets taken out of its mouth. Now, yesterday we talked a little bit about the food chains, food webs, and energy pyramid. And we talked about how the energy flows, how food chains, how energy flows from organism to organism. And we talked about how the energy is used, right? But how is energy used? Does it increase as you move up a food chain from one organism to another? That would be A. Does energy decrease as you move up a food chain? That would be B. Does it stay the same? That would be C. Or D, does it double? All right, so does energy increase, decrease, stay the same, or double? It would be more specific. All right, so double is a more specific increase. So increase could mean like add 1, add 2, but double is a lot more. This is one we need to review. So we're at 71% here. So as we talk about a food chain, we also talk about the energy pyramid. At the bottom of every food chain, Megan, what do we say is at the bottom of every food chain? Producers. Yeah. So producers are at the bottom of every food chain. We also talk about the energy pyramid. Producers are at the bottom. And as you go up the food chain, energy is lost. Energy decreases because a lot of that energy is lost in feeding, digestion. So energy is lost, so the energy decreases as you move up a food chain. So it should be B, decreases. All right, one more. So in the energy pyramid, the bottom level represents what is the bottom level of the energy pyramid, or the bottom level of a food chain represent? Okay. Is at the bottom of the food chain.
How do they know which are because the shape?
Yeah, all the shapes are good.
Like, when you look at this one, right there, one.
Not only is the shape different, it's also different.
Like, but like, does it know if this one's mine?
I assign,
Does it have enough?
I assign your name to that.
Okay.
Joseph, can you hold your straight? Can you hold it straight? Alright, that one was the day giveaway. 95% producers are at the bottom of the food chain. Alright, can someone tell me though, what eats those producers? Blaze. Herbivores. What's another name for an herbivore in the food chain? Yeah, primary consumers. So herbivores are primary consumers. All right. Same what eats the primary. Secondary consumers. All right. Clay, can you tell me what type of animal would a secondary consumer be? All right. So remember, primary consumers are those that eat the plants. Secondary consumers eat the primary consumers. Herbivores are things that eat plants, so they would be something as small as a grasshopper or as large as a goat or a cow.
Heterotrophs.
All right, they are heterotrophs, but how would we classify them? Joseph, can you help them out?
Consumers?
What type of consumer? All right, they are consumers. Your herbivores are consumers as well. Omnivore, all right, so that's a good term. Omnivore, they eat both plants and animals. All right, and what else could they be considered as well? Landon? Carnivores. All right, good. If you have one of my clickers, if you'll hand that back, I think everyone in here has theirs. Just put that away.
All right, another thing that I want to talk to you about, the day we got out for spring break, I went to a training at RESA. All the principals in the county were there that morning, and we had to learn about the new requirements for certification. And so we no longer are doing PLUs. It used to be the easy way. It didn't sound like it at the time, but it was easy when you just knew that you had to get 10 PLUs. That's not the case anymore. Now we know we have to show evidence of professional learning communities within our schools. And so that is going to mean, starting next year, that we're all going to implement professional learning communities during your planning times. And I do not know exactly what that's going to look like, what the county is going to require. We know what the state is asking us to do, but the counties will all have their own requirements. So once I find out more information about that, I will let you know. I'll let you know how we're going to document it, what the expectations are going to be, and just to let you know that that is where we are moving to. Those of you who are new to the profession are going to have a mentor. You're going to have a professional learning plan. All of that is going to be coming down the pike, and I will share any information that I get with you. But I just want you to know that that's what the training was about when I was out on Thursday, and where we're going to with recertification. The other thing that is very important, as you know to me, is data. This information, these are our numbers for the last benchmark. And I've highlighted a couple things, and what I want you to see is when we talk about benchmarks, we always want to be higher than the county when it comes to our percentage in distinguished, but we want to be lower than our county when it comes to the number of students in beginning, because essentially we want to move our children all the way over to distinguished. We want the fewest number in beginning. So again, a shout out and kudos to social studies. I'll start with social studies. 6th grade social studies had lower than the county average for this percent of students in the beginning category. We had 14% in the beginning category, and we had 7.8% in the distinguished. We were higher than the county average for distinguished. So good job to the 6th grade social studies. And then what stood out the most to me was 7th grade social studies. Between social studies and science, this one stood out the most. 30% of our students, 30.1% of our students in 7th grade on the social studies benchmark were distinguished. 1/3 of our students were distinguished on the social studies benchmark. Only 12.9% of our students were in the beginning category. So I'm really, really highly impressed with our 7th grade social studies. So that would include Miss Dials, Miss Grubbs, Miss Lee, Miss McClure. I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget special ed. But I think that's just Miss Dials for this year. All right, so then let's look at science. Science, and I'm just pointing out the areas that were higher than the county. So then science, in 6th grade science, we had 11.8% distinguished, which was higher than the county, and we were lower than the county in our percent of beginning. We had 11.2% in the beginning section of the science benchmark. Remember, I want you to take this information, if you are a science and social studies teacher, work with it, delve into it. See how you did compared to the other teachers. See how you did compared to our school. See how you did compared to the other schools. Were there certain questions that the students didn't get? Now is the time to look into that information so you can readdress it this coming week with your students so that they can be successful on those questions on the milestones. I think data speaks very highly to us. We all have to take it in and take it for what it's worth to us in the situation that we're in. We know what's going on in our classrooms, and you can better evaluate how your children did by looking at that data and analyzing it from within your classroom and with your students. So good job on the benchmarks, and I hope you'll take some time to look into how you can use that this last week right before the milestones so your students can be successful. That's it for now. I hope you enjoy the rest of your spring break. Come back relaxed and ready to finish up the year, because that's where we are, right here at the end. It's almost over. I'm sure there'll be a final countdown. My children will probably start that. Our students will start that. And the lunchroom, they always have a countdown. So we are counting down. We're almost there. And if there's anything I can do to help you or the administrative team can do to help you finish out the year strong, please let us know. Have a great spring break.